There are some good things that developers do nowadays, but most of them just seem to be an absolute shambles. And when I say that, I'm looking back through the dev news for Thursday, July 1st, which would mark 3 months since the release of Outriders, and they really don't have much to say at all, besides knowing full well that things are going to happen the way they have, and never addressed it when it was the right time to do it. To explain what I mean by that, in this Reddit post, I'll leave it linked in the description, it's got a list of the known issues, the patch news, and balancing stuff. They've said that they're currently looking to buff a few skills for all 4 classes. Some of the changes will require bespoke code work, as the changes are not just to their numbers, but also to the way they function. To that end, they will likely roll the balancing changes into one of their upcoming patches. They're also aiming to buff each class in unison and to avoid split buffing, which is why they need a bit more time to bundle the changes collectively for a patch. So they knew all along, like since the previous patch, they knew that their goal was to buff a few skills for all 4 of the classes. And what they didn't do is say from the get-go that they would require additional time. They've been releasing patch after patch, week after week, and they've done it successfully, they've done it on time. There's been issues and stuff within them, but I mean in terms of releasing the patch itself, it's been a successful release every single week since they started doing it weekly. And I mean, if that's not screaming live service, then I don't know what does. Constant weekly changes and stuff to the game is just a huge live service model. But they knew all along they would have to do this, and they still just didn't say anything to let the community know that that was what they was working on. They have to wait until Thursdays for their developer news. They couldn't have just put out a simple post saying, look, we're working on stuff that requires a bit more coding, so we'll still have your dev news on Thursday. It's just that the patch won't be coming this week. There won't be a patch at all this week. We're going to add these changes into a future patch. I think they've done it because looking at this, they don't have a lot to talk about. One topic the developers could talk about is exactly how the legendary drops work, like they said they were going 2 weeks ago. They did say under patch news, because that was balancing, our next patch requires a little more time for us to ensure its stability, especially following the past week's successful patch. We are in the testing phase currently and will have more information to share on this soon. Thank you for your patience on this. So another thing is, they've said following the past week's successful patch, they are doing these patches within a week. The game's been out for over 3 months now, and they've only just recently changed the legendary drop rate for everyone, and it's taken them all this time to consider doing it, to put it into testing, to actually get it done. So why is it so hard for developers to do things like that when a person can create a trainer for a game and they can give you a maximum legendary drop rate? They can change it within a couple of days, whereas these developers that have plenty of experience, that have created this game, still don't know how to do this stuff in an efficient time. That's what really bugs me. And then this list of known issues, I'm not reading any of them out because it's all the same stuff that we were told last week. I don't know if anything's been changed because a lot of it most of it just says it's still being investigated. So there's absolutely nothing in terms of bug fixes confirmed for the upcoming patch. They're being incredibly vague with what they are working on, besides the balancing stuff with the classes. And they haven't mentioned here that there's no nerfs, so players are going to have to keep their eyes open for that sort of stuff. But then if we look at the responses, people are saying, on Chemplant, if you kill the group of ads on the left door, when the cremator comes out, one of the cutthroats doesn't spawn, and that happens quite often, and sometimes it can take a full-on minute, if not a little bit longer, for that enemy to finally spawn. People have said go in the actual room and shoot the ceiling at the back, but I tried that and it never worked. It's a really bad bug, especially in time-based content, and they still haven't even acknowledged that it exists. And this is like one of the most upvoted replies to this thread, so hopefully that is fixed soon. And also on Scorched Lands, a lot of people kicked off about my video because it's been a bug in the game since the launch, but if you've watched my videos, you know I either play solo or I'm the host, so I never would have experienced it. But apparently it's been in pretty much since the launch. You go to Scorched Lands as a client, so you're not the host, and when the water gets drained right at the end, it's a complete lag fest. It's ridiculous to try and keep a smooth frame rate across any platform at all. But not only that, there are other bugs as well, like crawlers pretty much crashing PlayStation 4s. I've also seen a new one lately where a crawler just it pretty much makes everything unplayable. I'm not entirely sure if that was PlayStation or if it's affecting other platforms too. But there are so many, I'm going to say, game-breaking issues. Because technically it does break your game. If you're having to wait an entire minute for an enemy to spawn, and that's ruining your gold time, that's game breaking, because it's broken your game and your experience to get that gold time. It's not technically broken the game like a crash or a brick in your console or something like that, but it has broken your game in some way. But then there are a lot of people that are bringing up issue after issue after issue, and would you believe the moderators of the Reddit are nowhere to be seen? They are not responding to any of this stuff at all. It's all just the rest of the community talking. And again, since launch, people have been asking, can you please add a lock feature to our gear? Because we don't want to accidentally dismantle something that we're either using or something we want to keep in our inventory. And they still can't do it. And that should be a simple system. They've managed to lock the kick from party feature from expeditions within the last, arena. But they can't add a lock mechanic to the gear. And I think that's a very big kick in the teeth, especially when you look at a lot of other looter shooters. They have these lock mechanics in place so the players can't accidentally get rid of things they might want to use. And then people are talking about expanding on the lock feature. People are saying, I can't imagine designing a looter without a mark favorite function, which is exactly you shouldn't be able to imagine it. Looter shooters should have that in by default. There's a lot of games that are coming out, just RPGs in general, and yeah, I'm talking about Dark Alliance, that just has features missing that should be there by default. They did a patch recently, and they've now enabled the voice chat in camp. That should have been there, the ages ago, from the launch, if not before, when you're beta testing and stuff. That stuff should have been there. But someone says, how hard is it? It took them 2 months to fix the always marked as new bug. It is that hard. And that was also a bug which was introduced in a patch to fix other bugs. Because that's all this company does. And it happens, I think it's just the looter-shooter genre. I don't think the developers actually know what they're getting themselves into. They don't know what they're doing in terms of creating a good looter-shooter. Because every recent one, from my personal memory, has been a complete disaster. But yeah, that's just a rundown of the dev news. They've just said that they're balancing stuff. There's patch news to say they need a little bit more time with no explanation on when it's coming or any idea on when they think it's going to arrive. And then they have a list of known issues that they're just Control-C, Control-V, copy-pasting over to other threads they are posting. Complete waste of time. They need to actually pull themselves together. Because they're just going to continue losing players. That's all that's going to happen. And I mean, you look at the legendary drop rate change when they doubled the drop rate, it still didn't even really bring players back at all. So it just shows you they have to do something really out there. It has to be some crazy out of this world idea to bring players back to this game. And it better come out, whatever it is, it better happen in a polished state. Because otherwise you're just going to get rid of the remaining player base. And then when Outriders 2 releases, possibly in a couple of years, then bye-bye your profits. Let me know your thoughts and stuff about all this in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed it.